Rule 34 Artists of Reddit. What was it like on the first time you started drawing porn? Drew a stickman with one leg too many, and large glasses that were not on the face. Perhaps an additional set of glasses that also weren't on the face. Slightly below the extra leg. Annoying. The first time you try to draw anatomy you've never done before, it's a pain in the ass. Boobs are surprisingly hard to make look right. Then again, some people pull a Michelangelo and staple them on, and it looks awful but no one notices. Edit. Well, now my top comment is my bitching about poorly drawn boobs on the internet. I should not be surprised. How do you staple a boob on? You use the staples. And how do you staple them on? Your instructions are not very clear. Am I supposed to use a dildo or a rubber duck? I had no idea what I was doing and drew really terrible anatomy. It really helped me realize that even for my NSFW works, perfecting a character's anatomy is very important to do before clothing them. Now it's just the same as if I was drawing anything else, except I'm mildly horny during the process. Edit. I don't post anything on Reddit or under this name BTW. Just a heads up. I write instead of drawing, though I do follow lots of NSFW artists and spend a fair amount of time cursing their skill and my lack thereof. First time I decided to write a full hardcore story, I was on a work trip sitting idle in a hotel lobby while waiting for the next work thing to happen. While I had a lot of experience writing in general, most sex scenes were always gently wafting curtains. Turning off that filter and writing full on engorged cock and swollen tits was quite liberating. Otherwise, I was sitting at work, so it felt more or less like being a cheeky student writing swear words on the desk. Later, writing in private, the work was more inspiring. Once you've done it for a while, you start working off the craft a little more than off the urge. First story came out like dirty talk during sex. Lots of focus on using sexy words, overly gratuitous moaning noises, stuff like that. Stories nowadays go a little more like dirty talk while having breakfast the next morning. Where do you publish your writing? And what would they pay you for? How much, for example? It's changed at pretty sharp turns over the years since I started. Original Kindle Unlimited was a money faucet, but Amazon wised up and changed to page reads. Nowadays, mainstream stuff, no to adult stuff is allowed on major publishers, goes on Amazon and Smashwords. Smashwords itself is lenient on content, but the Nook side of it isn't. Otherwise you stick it somewhere and hope someone finds it who likes it. For a general short, about 4k words, $2.99. If it's decent, I might expect about $1,000 out of that over its lifetime. If you hit something popular, that'd go up to 5-10k. Once you've been at it for a while, you can have a rolling $2,000-$3,000 a month extra income. Takes a lot of work though even to dabble. People like consistency and are more likely to stick with you if they are sure something else is coming down the pipe. For that matter, shorts aren't the best way of making money in the field. The real money is in romance novels. But I find those rather dull to write. Commissions can be a lot more involved for stories than for art. You're not just drawing someone's character. You're acting out that ox emotions, reactions, and general experiences. On the other hand, some people just want their ox name inserted into a scenario. In either case, you usually work out at the word price. $0, $0.5, $0.15 is a common range. So for the same work, 4k words, you charge $400, less than you'd make over a generic short's lifetime. But you got it up front and a lot of the creative work is baked into the project. So, it varies on a lot of factor, but mostly on how much effort you put in. People who do it full time are much more aggressive with their marketing/pricing and all that. Just checked Smashwords. It looks legitimately interesting. I might give it a go. I liked writing, and who the fuck knows if it brings in some extra cash. Can I check out your work on there? Or do you wish to keep your name separate from the account? ? I often used porn as a reference for drawings because it's easy to find pictures of naked people of all sizes in every imaginable posture. So it wasn't that much of a leap. It was on Danboru. You get a lot of likes and commissions. Easy money. But it gets old real quick. Don't know what people's deal is with tentacles. They always need more. I was inspired by Manara, who is a very fine artist. But he didn't only draw porn. You also start to understand things like why gynecologists aren't aroused by their work. Professionals have standards. I'm not a crazed pervert mum. I'm an artist. What the difference be? One is a job and the other gets you sent to horny jail. #bonk. I was in math class and I was bored. I was trying to draw the 3 to Ted Hoare from the cover of Flash Fearless vs. the Zorg Women, and suddenly I had new friends in Driver's Edition. They were trying to get the friend discount. You start with your own unique style, but kinda like the Skyrim stealth archer meme, you eventually and inevitably end up drawing for furries. Paying for furry porn and Patreon is what keeps the world's economy stable. Still not enough to pay for therapy. It was really embarrassing lol. I had to put down my tablet pen and just contemplate every 5 minutes because I felt like an absolute fool. You staring at the zoomed in picture of a dick you're drawing, realizing that you've just spent 20 minutes carefully detailing realistic veins on that skull. What the fuck am I doing with my life? God's work. I mean, literally. Who designed the first dick? God did. He sweated every little detail, even that red thing that comes out of it. Artists can't find the right porn to jerk off to. Makes 1000 yeah. Now if art wouldn't take time and motivation, it'd be perfect. Yeah. Everything I see and hear points towards the effort going into a picture made even for their own tastes is hard for a lot of artists to get into. Every time you look at that picture, you just ask yourself how it could be better and recall all the time it took to draw the little details. Posting for my so, since she does not use a Reddit. Pros. Money is great. Nobody bitches and whines about paying in exposure. Most clients are polite. Cons. Some requests make you hate human race. You can't even mention you are a female cause they will simp all over you. Some clients can be very picky about end products details. Don't ask. If I'm paying for porn, it better be amazing porn, just saying. This, I better count the sweat and the veins of that dick if I'm paying for porn. Pure poetry. Thanks. Maybe I should start writing for porn. Sometimes I see Rule 34 commissions my girlfriend is working on, and I'm just really confused why somebody wants to have a drawing of that. It's a decent side income for her, and most people who commission art from her seem quite polite and reliable about paying compared to when she does other stuff like band logo commissions. They just request some really odd things. A giant robot fridge with a dick that comes out of the freezer compartment that's simultaneously screwing a furry skunk character and turning them into an ice cube was a pretty memorable why moment. Because installing a dick in your fridge is impractical. The Adeptus Mechanicus would disagree, as long as it pleases the machine god. Has the emperor ever explicitly weighed in whether toaster fucking is heresy? Asking for a friend. It was the other day. Someone told me to do it, and it seems I always do what I'm told. Their suggestion and my talent yielded something the world should never have seen. Well, now I wanna see. TL. Doctor, it started as a desperate way to deal with my PTSD. Now it's a financially successful comic with over 140 pages. I started writing a porn comic as a way to deal with the near-death experience I went through. I had to be put into a medically induced coma for over a week because of a really bad upper respiratory infection, not COVID-19, and I have PTSD from that. It is nightmarish to wake up in a hospital from a coma and have a whole building full of people basically do whatever they want with you and your body without even consulting you. At first, making porn was embarrassing, but my need to express what I had been through in a free way outweighed that embarrassment. In order for me to write the dialogue and plan out the plot, I had to access feelings and memories I was trying so hard not to connect with. Creating characters I could empathize with was difficult, but it was easier than empathizing with other people, because I had come to distrust other humans so deeply. A few months after I started making the comic and releasing it for free online, I found people were collecting it. They urged me to start a crowdfunding site, which became pretty successful. Now, 2 years later, multiple chapters of the comic have come out, and it's the main source of income for the illustrator I partner with. Edit. Since people are asking, the name of the comic is Princess Claire, a royal endowment. Heads up though, If you don't like future girls with huge dicks, you will not like this comic. SFW sample of the comic. https://imgur.com/f1asia1 JPG. Name of the comic: Princess Claire, A Royal Endowment. Warning: it's mostly about women with giant dicks. Sounds like the key to success. The comic definitely fulfills in its interest. Well, I got really horny, as expected. Really easy finding good references GBH. What was it like first? Well, I had to change my underwear couple of times. Being able to draw exactly what you imagine is something that's hard to describe without trying it out. When I first started sharing my art online, I used to get somewhere between 0 and 10 likes on it. After switching to NSFW, those numbers went to 100s and sometimes 1000s. I still haven't made any money out of this, but that's something I hope to be able to do in the future. May I ask why? If you get over 1,000 likes, it seems to me that you can open up for commissions, right? Probably just the lack of self-confidence. I started drawing about 2 years ago, and all the amazing art online just makes me feel way inferior. It's something that I do plan on doing in the future. I just don't feel like I'm ready to commit in social media advertising and other hassle involved in getting clients. Probably just the lack of self-confidence. I started drawing about 2 years ago, and all the amazing art online just makes me feel way inferior. It's something that I do plan on doing in the future. I just don't feel like I'm ready to commit in social media advertising and other hassle involved in getting clients. Don't worry, mate. Those weird furry fucks will pay good money even for badly written furry porn. I'm a terrible artist and I get paid about $600 a month just from furries for drawing all the weird shit they ask for. Only takes me like 2 to 3 hours a month anyway. I just thought about something while scrolling through these threads and seeing everyone mentioning furries and doling out cash. All this mention of furries, but somehow not a single one to be found in the thread. Rule 34 Artists of Reddit. I just want to say thank you. Visions of dicks dancing in the head. Me. Checking the accounts of all the people who said they draw porn. No one wants to really admit it, lol. Halfway through I lost all horniness and it became about getting the proportions right. Tell me about it. Can't look at NSFW stuff without critiquing anatomy anymore. I got off to my own shit and realized I had a destiny to fulfill. Us artists have too much power since we can draw exactly what we want when we want it for ourselves. The power of horniness in the palm of my hand. I was pretty young, like 12y/0 or something, and I used to draw it when I was horny. That wasn't too often though, but it was interesting, weird and confusing. I didn't figure out myself yet, lol. It took me years to notice I like to draw NSFW for its artistic and narrative value, aside from titillating other people, and nowadays I'm trying to grow a NSFW Twitter account and see where it leads me to. Sadly, I haven't got tons of money from it, just a few commissions. I've always wondered about the horniness levels of hentai artists. I assume for most it just becomes a job after a while. But if you're doing it for personal pleasure, how do you stay horny enough to finish the work? I feel like I would get halfway through, go jack off, and never touch it again. You know how you can just get lost in something if you really like doing it. Like when I first played Bot 1, I just spent like 10 hours in that world and wondered where the time had gone while I was just kinda walking around going one more location. That seems to be the same for artists. I frequently watch a few people drawing stuff and they have a no, I can't stop now. Gotta draw more moments where the picture itself isn't even the most important thing anymore. They just find tiny bits they want to improve or change up and don't even look at the entire thing anymore. I'd imagine it's the same for NSFW artists. I was trying to do SMTH for my ex. I was getting into digital art for fun and I struggled with the human body and skin. So she told me to draw her from memory and I did, and she liked it. So she told me to draw stuff for her from time to time. Wattpad fanfics basically. She described the character and I would draw them, and she lines be like, oh yeah, it's odd seeing a representation. Thakas hun. I felt awkward, but it was hilarious too. Till I didn't need to know any of this. Just had to read it all. Can't unsee. I'm going down the rabbit hole right now. Should I venture deeper, ye wise master? Venture deep in me, daddy. Can't really say. I had a commission one day and I rarely get commissioned. That was futanery and my then husband came home. Got a glance at my Wacom screen and simply shook his head. These days I get the usual questions of, don't you get aroused by your own art? Do you mind if I jacked it to your work? Understandable. Have a nice day intensifies. I just started drawing NSFW fan art as a kid and never thought it was a weird thing to do. As a kid I what M8. Most furry artists who are already fucking talented are like 16 to 17. If not younger, coming from a guy who drew Kingdom Hearts yaoi from 13 to 14 for forums and commissioned them, graduating to hentai, BDSM, game porn. I finally stopped a couple years ago when I was 19, but the money was always a great boost. Damn. It's straight up like living a double life. I have a secret folder on my laptop filled with NSFW sketches that I've made of characters from my favorite anime/cartoons. I only draw these things when my girlfriend isn't at home, and if she comes home unexpectedly, I close everything down as quickly as possible so she doesn't find out. I've had a few close calls and she can probably tell I'm hiding something. Sometimes I even worry she thinks I'm having an affair, when in reality I'm just drawing smutty cartoon pictures. Talk to her. Hiding it won't end well. It's all good. I'll probably tell her at some point. For now it's just kinda nice having this weird hobby that no one else knows about. I know she'll be super cool with it. Probably tease me a little too. We are both into some super geeky stuff already, so I'm not worried about her having a bad reaction. It's just nice having this thing to myself for now. And well, I guess I'm a little embarrassed, but not necessarily ashamed, if that makes sense. I tried wording my post to come across as kinda funny, but reading it again I can see why so many people are writing concerned replies. I really didn't mean for it to sound that serious. Maybe this is why I should stick to making erotic fan art rather than writing fun fiction. Not a porn artist, but once I was 14 and I drew a man and a woman having an intimate moment on a paper. Next thing I find are my drawings being organized on my desk. My mom had went through them. I'm glad she did though, because now she thinks I'm straight. Are you? Oh hell no. The big brain IQ bamboozler right here. Draws porn to make mom think they straight. Big brain. The most conniving of bamboozles. Okay. To be fair, I'm definitely not a porn artist. I only draw it very occasionally. Mostly to get over art block, for some reason. Just drawing funny poses without worrying about clothing folds is great for busting art block, but I do remember the first time I drew something very explicit instead of just some boobs or suggestive content. I drew it in a teeny tiny notebook when I was like 16. Just some normal anime porn stuff. And then I got so embarrassed that I hid it at the bottom of a drawer. And then, later, I found it again, in a completely different spot. My mom found it at some point. She must've. However, neither of us have ever brought it up. Years later, I still think about it sometimes. I have a character that's got tentacles for hair, no relation to Splatoon, and is a femboy. He is very popular with my circle of internet friends. They've all commissioned me several times to draw him in varying outfits, poses, scenarios, etc. He's basically the only thing that can break my art block for similar reasons to what you listed. I'm 90% sure my mom saw a drawing I did of him on a scrap of paper from a downward angle from the back while his skirt got blown up. She hasn't mentioned it, and I'm scared to bring up my art around her now because of how scared I am that she'll bring it up and I'll have to explain that some of my closest friends have essentially formed a religion based around my squid-haired femboyok. If you are new to Tattletale TV, please subscribe. We have new videos every day. Stay tuned for more coming up next.